Hi, I'm Danièle Spethmann, President and CEO of Warrior Gold. Warrior Gold is an early exploration company with a very large and prospective land package in the Kirkland Lake camp of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt.
Well, lovely to have you on our show. You were actually introduced by a mutual friend of ours, and young Joanne, and we welcome you to our humble little platform. But it's all about location. So how did you pick up this asset?
Matthew, it's more like this asset or this opportunity fell into my lap in 2013. We started to consolidate this land package in the Kirkland Lake camp when there was zero interest in gold exploration. And we started with the Goodfish Corona project. It grew from there. Last year, we acquired the KLW and the KLC land packages, increasing our footprint to over 21,000 hectares in what is a very prospective gold camp.
Well, it is. I think it's very, very well known. But what's the end game for you? I'm trying to understand companies' business models. What are they setting out to do? You're early stage exploration, but what are you trying to build here?
Our aim is to make a discovery, and our aim is to make the next discovery north of the break. There used to be a old wives' tale or old prospector's tale that there was no gold north of the break. So all the work historically has been on the Kirkland Lake main break. And that's where they've found 25 million ounces of gold. They've been mining it for 100 years. So all the focus academically, engineering has been on that break. Several companies have proven that wrong in recently, specifically Agnico Eagle's Upper Beaver deposit, which is in the same rocks as Warrior Gold's project. So we have consolidated a fantastic land package. It's got major mineralized structures, and we're going for it.
You go for it, but it's tough times right now. You know, juniors are struggling, and early stage exploration are struggling in these economic climates. So I noticed you raised some money recently. So what's the plan? What's the strategy?
Well, the plan is definitely to make a discovery, but we have we've gone bit by bit, Matthew. You know, we don't want to dilute the living daylights out of any of our shareholders. Most of our shareholders are long term. They recognize the value of the asset. I'm one of those shareholders. I own about 6% of this company, and we recognize what the discovery potential is. There's not many places in the world where you get this many gold showings, this much structure in a world-class mining camp. And, God forbid I said world-class, but it definitely is. It's unparalleled to many.
You're in the right part of town. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? What have you done?
Matthew, I'm a dirtbagger. I mean, I'm an exploration geologist. I have had a very fantastic career looking for gold in different parts of the world. I spent 15 years working overseas. I worked in Venezuela, Cuba, Ecuador, Botswana. I've had the opportunity to work with teams that have made discoveries. So I know the discipline, and I also know the thrill of discoveries. So when this opportunity to put the Goodfish Corona together, Warrior together, came across my desk, it was one I couldn't refuse. Very tempting.
Right, and who's helping you? Any names you would recognize?
Can I keep those a little bit of a secret right now? I mean, we have very significant shareholders, high net worths. We haven't sold any one part of the company to anybody yet. That we're all equal shareholders pushing this forward. So I don't specifically have a boss. We would love to eventually have the right kind of partner that will come as we go down the road.
But what about, I was referring to the actual team that you put together here, because there's a few names on the PowerPoint.
On my list. Oh, yeah.
Who's doing what?
Let me start with Peter Greaves, Sue Lomas. Melissa Render was one of the first geologists on this project. She was working for Kinross at the time, and then she left and she joined us after as an independent. I've got a fantastic geophysicist, Bill Dorner. The one thing about being an exploration geologist that's as old as I am is we have a credible amount of contacts, and we know who's who. And when you're looking for someone, it's not really hard to find someone because you have that resource.
Right, but tell me again, companies of at this stage of growth need to be very, very efficient with their capital and allocation of capital. Tell me a little bit about your overheads, your G&A, who's full time, who's picking up salaries, who are on options. I mean, how do you manage all of that?
Okay, so we have a very low burn. Our burn is about 30 to 35,000 a month. I'm the only salaried employee. I've only been salaried since 2021. Everybody else is an independent contractor. We've kept this moving forward. I can't even think of organically. When I need them, they're here. I've found incredible people that know how to diversify their skill portfolio. So when they're not in the field with us, they're in the field with somebody else, or they're writing reports. So, yeah.
It's fine. Like it is what it is. I think companies need to just be clear about how they intend to navigate these choppy waters, and it is choppy out there at the moment, and to allow them to come out the other side, right? So I kind of want to work out what am I honing in on. Okay, you travel the world, and as an exploration geologist, it's a small team with little overhead, great, but I'm interested in what should I be focused in on? Because there's going to be lots and lots of companies out there saying the same sort of stuff. So what's going to help you stand out? What's going to be important for me to know about the assets that you put together in this sort of portfolio of yours? What should I be looking at?
Again, location. We're in the Kirkland Lake camp. We're in the Blake River Mafic Volcanics, the same rocks as Agnico Eagle. We've got fantastic neighbors. We're right beside a town. The infrastructure is incredible. The costs of, drilling they're very competitive. We can mobilize a rig from Quebec to Kirkland Lake in half a day, and then the night shift starts drilling. So, and we get to drill all year round. People get to go home at night, so we're not negotiating helicopter contracts or housing people. They get to cook their own food, and they get to come to work in the morning on their own steam. So that is in part what was highly attractive to me. Not only the geology and the structures and the mineralization, but the fact that I can drive up the road from Toronto in 6 hours and be at work is incredible, and year round.
Yeah, so I get the location and get the geography, and obviously there's a lot of companies operating there, and a lot of gold has been produced. But talk to me specifically about how you go forward, because it's a big land package, and you can say, well, that's an asset. That's an asset on our balance sheet. It's also a liability, because you can spend money on it to generate that value. Right. So what are these kind of baby steps that you take? You talk about mobilizing rigs very, very inexpensively, but, when do you get to the point where you start drilling?
Well, we have raised just $5.5 million since 2018, and we raised just enough money to do the task at hand, which is right now it was drilling the A zone. We followed up on an intersection that was 12.5 meters of 17 grams. We've blown that out. It's now 650 meters long. We've tested it to 350 meters. Again, I will say that the thing about the Abitibi is there is a lot of gold. So Warrior Gold, I guess you could say, it moves step by step, and we are cautious, and we advance in this market. Would I love to have a ton of money at the right time? Would I put 4 rigs on the property at the right time? 2, exploring what we know, 2, exploring what we don't know, because it's such a big property.
Okay, and what do we know at the moment?
What more do we?
What you said, what we know and what you don't know. So what do you know?
Oh, what do we know? Well, right now what we know is we've got a lot of, what we know is the Goodfish Carana. We've got the Joe Zone, the Mel Zone, and a lot of high grade. We know that the Joe Zone is plunging to the northwest. We know that it's still open at depth. We know it's 650 meters long. We know the Mel Zone still needs to be unraveled and deserves a whole lot more drilling. And then we know we have 20 other targets just on the Goodfish Carena. And then this summer's field program, we had a field team out, and they had the LIDAR and the geophysics, and they've gone and hit some of the hot spots. And of course, they found more gold. So that's what we know.
That's the name of the game, isn't it? And how do you said right at the outset, your key driver here is to make a discovery, right? So what does that look like in honest, real language? Because people claim to make discoveries. They come on the show and make discoveries after one hole, and I'm kind of slightly dubious sometimes. I don't actually believe them. So in your own words, how will you know when you've made a discovery? What does that look like for you?
Discovery is continuity of a zone. So our target is, high grade, at least 8 grams, and we would love to find 2 million ounces of gold. So we are looking for that zone that blows out at 300 meters. And the thing about the Abitibi, when you hit it, you'll know you've hit it, right? So we're on the way at the Joe zone. But again, like you said, we've got this huge land position. There's an incredible amount of opportunity, and we're looking forward to unraveling it.
Right, and what does that look like? Because I think Abitibi and orogenic gold is has a sort of well known pattern to it. So when you talk about aiming for a high grade, you talk about high grade veining, or are you after the kind of the more homogeneous style stuff? I mean, what would you imagine it looking like?
The gold in the Abitibi, it occurs what we've encountered so far. We've encountered gold, in the structure, right? Gold occurs within the structure. It also occurs right now at the contact between the two different kinds of volcanics. And we're also getting it associated with the porphyries and the intrusive rocks. So, that's that expression, gold is where you find it. And that's the challenge, but it's true. That's the challenge with the Abitibi, right? There are sniffs of gold everywhere. It's finding, that place where it decided to settle itself out.
Essentially, the only reason I ask you that is because we've had lots of companies come on in the Abitibi gold belt, and they talk about this kind of large, homogeneous, low-grade stuff, and interspersed with this kind of higher-grade veining type structures that they're saying. I mean, and that's fine. But we're trying to what in terms of what you know and what you've seen to date, have you got a good sense of what the composition is for you, or when do you think you will, or how much more drilling do you need to do before you start to understand it from that perspective?
How much more drilling? Matthew, really, when you are drilling out a deposit, right? It's a lot of drilling. So right now we're still in the early discovery stages. So there's no shortage of drilling that we need to do. As I said earlier, two drills on the targets that we know, the Joe zone and the Mel zone, and then two other drills on the other targets. Right now, tomorrow, if I put a rig on the Joe zone, we could drill 3,000 meters in a month and get a good sense of where it's going. And then after that, then it's, anybody's guess, right? Because drilling out a deposit is, thousands of kilometers or thousands of meters of drilling. So, yeah, we're a far cry from that, just so you know. I mean, we're just still in the discovery, figuring out what we have and what we don't have.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine. It all starts from somewhere, doesn't it? Start at the beginning and end at the end, right? So, okay. So for you, you're being mindful of cash. You've raised some money recently. So does that mean we're not going to see any more drilling this side of Christmas?
Probably not. I mean, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Because it's a conservation of capital. You got to be in the game to play the game. So, and I think some people running out of cash or unable to raise cash may, be feeling in a whole world of hurt and pain at the moment. But totally understood. And so next year for you, ideally, looks like what? It's obviously market dependent in terms of. Does the equities market come back somewhat? Does gold price come back somewhat? And then it's a question of going and raising the money that you need to do a a program of sorts. Can you can drill 365, yeah, all year round. Okay. So how do you play it between now and say, middle of next year then? Is it just a waiting game?
No, no, definitely not. We have several opportunities in front of us right now, and we're always carefully assessing them. We've got high net worths that have a serious interest in Warrior Gold. Our footprint is very unique. It's a very large land package in a world-class mining jurisdiction. So we've got high net worths. We've had people interested in joint ventures, and then we also have. We could, I think it's too early for my shareholders, hand over part of the project to a much bigger company. So all of those people are in front of, or those opportunities are in front of us, and, we weigh them out. And it's a discussion between me and the directors and the people that are coming at us. And again, I'm an owner of this company. I own 6%. I continue to participate in the financings. I'm not ready to hand it over. I've been part of discoveries. I've seen what that looks like. Again, I know the discipline. I know the thrill. That's what I want to do. And I want to do it not just for me, but for the team that I work with, because they've all been there and never reaped the rewards,
Okay. Well, look, Danièle, you give us a few options of some of the things that are on the table for you at the moment, whether JVs or, selling off property or, going and raising the capital and doing it yourself. So I appreciate the introduction to the story, first of all, and we're kind of running us through your thought process. That's always important for us to understand. But stay in touch. Let us know how you get on with all of the endeavors, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you, Matt. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today. I will just leave you with Warrior Gold is the kind of company that we're looking for long-term investors. Your investors need to understand and fully appreciate the discovery process. It's high risk, high reward. We check all the boxes. We're in the right camp. We've got the right team, and we spend your money wisely.